So I'm going to give you a quick overview of the online course for College Physics 1 and how you can succeed in it, and these success tips actually apply for any other class that you're taking. So first of all, let's quickly go over the course organization. You'll have seen all this in detail on the syllabus. So the classes are asynchronous. There's no synchronous lectures. All the lectures are posted online. There's questions embedded in the lectures that you'll get grades for. When you're doing the lecture, take a screenshot of the score on the final slide. Sometimes Canvas has problems. It sends the lectures to an external server, which then sends the grades back. And if you're on a device like your laptop or your tablet and you move around a little bit, your Wi-Fi might flicker and then your score won't go in properly. So always take a screenshot of the score to save it so that you can email it to me if there's some problem with your grade. There's also online homework that we're going to use the Pearson MyLab and Mastering for. That's worth 20% of your grade. And then there'll be 2 exams, a midterm covering modules 1 through 8 and a final exam which will be cumulative and cover everything in the course. The 2 exams together count for 65% of your grade. So there's actually 35% of your grade that you can earn a very high score on just by being present and doing the work. So you start your homework on time, make sure you do the lectures on time, make sure you always take screenshots as backup, and that will help you a lot towards your final grade. Should note that the exams are not online. The exams are in person at the time and date scheduled on the syllabus. If you're in Tallahassee, you can take it at FAMU, and I'll let you know the room closer to the exam time. If you're not in Tallahassee, you need to find a certified proctoring site. I have a link on the syllabus to a place where you can click on a map and find a place close to you. Be aware that there's a charge for taking it off campus, usually at these proctoring sites, and that's why I only have 2 exams, so the cost doesn't get too prohibitive. If you're planning to do it at an off-campus site, I need to know the site at least 2 weeks before the exam, and I'll make sure I send out an announcement too to give you a final warning, because it sometimes takes a long time to coordinate with the proctoring center about how I'm going to get them the exam and how they're going to grade it, etc. So what extra resources are available besides just the lectures and the homework? Well, inside each module, I have practice problems that are geared to what you need for the tests. They have written and video solutions. There's a review version of the lecture. After you watch the lectures for grades, there's a review version that pops up that includes the solutions to all the problems. I have additional problems for you to work that also have written solutions. And we also have side quests. What's a side quest? It's something you can do for extra active learning. And when you do it, you won't earn points towards your final grade, but you'll earn points that cumulatively you can use to buy homework and lecture extensions, and the details for all that will be online. For each test, there's a study guide section that has concept and calculation reviews and equation sheets. And I also have some additional resources with links out to other useful websites like Flipping Physics or Khan Academy that sometimes people can find if something's explained slightly differently, then they can catch on to it better. So let me go quickly over to the home page for the course. So when you come in on your browser, what you should see is a screen that looks like this. Okay, so welcome to College Physics. I've got lots of information, the instructor information, so how to contact me, my office hours. You can click to see the syllabus, the course overview module that's going to walk you through all the things I'm talking about now. If you click on learning modules, it'll give you a shortcut list to the correct module. If you come in on the Canvas app, you'll come in just on the modules link. And it's a very, very, very long list for this course because there's lots of modules. Each module has lots of things in it. So if you want a shortcut to take you to, say, module 13, if you hit home and then click on the module index, you can come here and click on the module and it will take you to the right place. So let me look at, let's say, module 2. Okay, so if I look at module 2 has the learning objectives. And if you look at the learning objectives, it has the concepts that you need to know and the calculations that you need to be able to do. So this is a good thing to always review when you finish the module. Can you do all these things? Because these are the things you're going to see on the test. Okay, the next thing in the module is a suggested study schedule. And I'll have to update this a little bit. I've got another one I'll show you in a minute. I've got required readings with links to the textbook. The textbook for this course is a free online textbook. You can just click on it on where it says required readings and it will take you right to the textbook at the correct location to read. You can take notes on the textbook. You could highlight whatever you want to do on the online textbook. There's links to the homework. The homework is done through Mastering Physics. You'll see there's a link here, My Lab and Mastering. When you first come into the course, you'll click on there to set it up. You may have got the code already from the bookstore if you bought the Rattler pack. If not, click on here. You get a free 2-week trial. And at the end of the 2-week trial, it'll ask you to pay, I think, something like $30 or $35. Or you can pay something like $60 or $70 if you want to get the homework plus an additional online textbook. But I would recommend just getting the homework. Okay, so that's the homework. Then up comes a lecture. So a lecture here opens in a new window because it goes to an external server. And when you start the lecture, let me start it off. The best browser usually to use is Firefox. So Firefox, sometimes when it starts up, you'll see this little wheel that keeps on spinning. Just tap your screen if it does. It comes up with a lecture.
This material is covered in Chapter 2 of the online OpenStax textbook.
And you should hear me talking. You can, if you need captions, you can click on Notes up here, and all the words that I say are at the side. For the lecture that you're doing for grades, these captions here at the side are locked. You have to go through it in order. So I have to go to next, and it'll talk, and you can see there's a timeline at the bottom. Watch this timeline. If I try to hit next before I stop talking, it won't work. So you have to wait, and there's questions embedded in between the different slides in the slideshow, I guess I should say. Alright, so let me close this out. Alright, so when you finish the lecture, you'll get to a slide that shows you your grade. Make sure you take a screenshot of that slide. If you can, also include the bit at the bottom of the screen that shows the date and time so I can verify when you did it. Alright, so that's the lecture, and the lectures for the course are divided into chunks that are usually maybe 15 to 20 minutes long, so they're not too overly long. Some of them might be half an hour, but they're not that long. I encourage you to take notes. So you got lecture 2A, a lecture 2B, and then let me go back to the main module index to show you how things are laid out. Because when you do it this way, just paging through, you don't see the layout. Okay, so we've got lecture 2A, lecture 2B, and then you see there's a practice and review section. So in the practice and review section, the first item is also always a review version of the lecture. It will come up after the last part of the lecture is due. And when you do this version, you can click on it. It's free navigation. You can go to any section you want to review. If you do the quiz questions and you go to the final slide that shows you your grade, there's also a button there that says review the quiz. You can click on that and it will go back through the slideshow and show you the correct answers and explain the correct answers. If I have any additional material, I put it down there here. So if there's something you might need to help you explain things, there's practice problems. So for the practice problems, let me click on this. The practice problems comes up with a page. It's got just suggested problems, which are the actual problems. It has my written solutions and it has video solutions. And I encourage you try to do the problems on your own. And then if you get stuck, look at either the video solutions or go to my YouTube channel and watch the solution of it. I also have, if you finish all of those problems And I strongly recommend that you drill yourself on those practice problems, because those are similar to things that you'll see on the exam. If you can do those practice problems, you should be good for any long answer questions for the exam. If you do all of those, come back. I've got some lists from different textbooks of suggested problems. And you can click on the text here to get the actual problems. And you can click on the second link to get the solutions to the problems. So there's lots of resources here for you to work through. And so here's an example of some additional material that I put in that might help you out on certain specific things in the course. So those will always be down at the bottom of the module. Okay, so that's a walkthrough for a module. Let me go back to the home page and show you other things that are available there. Okay, so on the home page, under learning modules, I've got study guides. If you click on study guides, I've got the stuff chunked into sections of modules. So the first test will be on modules 1 through 8. So it'll be those first 2 study guides. And if you go into the study guide, I have in the first module advice on how to study for the test, go through concept review and simple calculations for each of the modules. And same thing for modules 5 through 8. And you can see this is all right at the bottom of the module list. So you could just scroll all the way down if you want to without going back through the home page. And I also have a link on the study guide page to the equation sheets that are here, a midterm equation sheet, final equation sheet. I encourage you to now go on, print out or download the midterm equation sheet and use it as you solve problems. So that way you'll get familiar with what equations there are on the sheet, what the different symbols mean, what equations you might have to memorize that aren't going to be on the sheet as you solve problems. Okay, and finally I have an additional resources page link on there. All right, so let's go back to the home page and let's talk about the side quests and the time management. So if you look now on the right side of the page, this is stuff that are little extra points that you can get to earn credits towards extensions for due dates for homeworks or lectures. You don't get any extensions for the tests. Okay, so if you click on here for side quests, these side quests, there's one per module and they'll unlock as we go through the course. So you can go through and do them. I encourage you to do them all. Again, these are things that will be very similar to what's on the test. So if I look in, well, let's see, we did module 2 before, so let me look at quest 2. So if you go through it, there's little either 2 or 3 activities for each module. And these sort of walk through the things you need to do. So for module 2, the first thing is just video concept review. So it's a quick little video. I think it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Watch it, and it's got embedded questions with concepts. There's a quest for using an online interactive tool for setting up kinematics problems. So if you have problems when you read a word problem and you look and you say, I don't know what on earth to do now that I've read this problem, these quests 2.2 and 2.3 walk you through how to actually sit down and solve a problem using the goal method, which is gather, organize, analyze, and look back or learn. And so I have, for each of the quests, if it's a problem solving, I have a little video solution in front where I do a little explanation and I solve any problems. If there's sample problems, I give you an example of how to do a similar problem. And then you can upload your thing to be graded. I'll be notified you uploaded it and I'll grade it, and then you can continue on to the next part. Okay, so if you do quest 2, then you can come into quest 3, and the very first item at the top of quest 3 will be the solutions to the things that you did in quest 2. Sometimes there'll be written solutions only. Sometimes, if it's really tough stuff, it'll be both written and video solutions. And there was also time management, and I'll talk about those extra points in just a minute as I go through the slides. All right, so how are you going to succeed in this course? You've got to keep track of your due dates because you're not coming to class, and I'm not going to be there to nag you. So you need to stay on top of your deadlines and always start the work on the homework before the due date so that you have time to think or ask for help if you need to talk to me or see a tutor. And you can always synchronize your Canvas calendar for the course with your Google Calendar or your iPhone calendar or any other calendar app so that it will remind you. And to do this, let me quickly walk you through it. If you go into Canvas on your browser, you see at the side in this green bar, there's a little calendar link. If you click on the calendar link, and you give it a few minutes to think, it'll come up with all the due dates that you have. So let me see, I'll scroll down. Well, let me scroll back a couple months so that I go into somewhere where I actually have some due dates. All right, so you can see here there's a bunch of homeworks from different courses. These are all crossed out because it's past the due date. And it's all color-coded so that it'll come up, it'll show you for all your Canvas sections what's there. And you can choose to either have them on or not have them on. When you've customized this so that you have all the deadlines that you want to be reminded of, you can click on at the bottom right, click on calendar feed, and it'll come up with a link that you can copy, and then you just copy and you paste that link into your Google Calendar or your iPhone calendar, and it'll pull all those deadlines in for you. So you should have no reason to miss any deadlines. Okay, so what else should you do? You really need to do more than just the assigned work. Just watching the lectures and doing the homework, unless you're really, really good at physics or you took it in high school, so this is just review, that's not going to be enough to get you a good grade on the exam. Remember, this is a 3 credit hour course and you have a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 rule. I learned 3-to-1. This country seems to do a 2-to-1. All right, so for every credit hour that you spend in the classroom for 3 credit hours, you need to spend 2 to 3 additional hours on it every week with studying things outside the classroom. So that means for this course you should be spending either between 9 to 12 hours working on it every week. So just doing the 2 lectures and the homework, that might be about 3 hours a week. So that means you need to have another 6 to 9 hours per week. So that's at least an hour a day beyond doing the lectures and the homework to succeed in this class. So you need to review the textbook. You need to make notes and review your notes and do problems. I've got lots of stuff up on Canvas, but it's up to you to use them because I'm not going to be around to nag you to do it. Okay, so when you're in the lecture class, I can always say at the end of class, make sure you do your homework, or this is a really tough problem. Now you're the one who has to be responsible for your work in the class. So plan your schedule on 3 bases: the semester basis, a weekly basis, and a daily basis. And if you go into the time management module on the first page, you'll see I have links to different documents with templates that you can download to put these in. So first of all, go through all your syllabi for any courses you're taking and note down for each week, there's 15 weeks of the semester, note down anything that you have due on that week. So do you have a test? Do you have a big essay due, etc.? Organize it by the week. And then once you've got that schedule, go for each week, make yourself a little weekly planner for each course that you take. So here I've got Chemistry 1045. What are you going to do specifically for that course on each day of the week? And of course, this really should have a Saturday and Sunday, right? You should have a lot of time on Saturdays and Sundays for doing work. And remember that taking your college classes, this is what's going to get you ahead for the rest of your life. So you really need to invest in it. So include everything on there: reading, homework, essays. If you've got other important things, you need to get a haircut, go to the doctor's, it's your mom's birthday, anything like that, put that on there because you need to budget for it. And then finally, now that you've got your weekly planner, now make a plan for each day of the week. And really, for most of the semester, what you have for each day of the week should be fairly similar. So you should be able to make a plan and put in things like when you're going to go to bed, when do you get out of bed, when do you exercise, when do you go and eat. Plan to complete your homework assignments before the due date. So make sure homeworks for this class are due on Tuesday. Make sure you work on them over the weekend, and then you've got time to come to my office hours on Monday if you need help, or go to the tutoring center. Okay, follow the 2-to-1, or I like even a 3-to-1 rule. So 2 hours of doing extra work for every hour you spend in class. And for this course, spending in class means watching the online lectures. And then as the semester progresses, you can review this and alter this. So if your schedule didn't work out, if you weren't getting enough sleep, or if you weren't having enough time to study, figure it out. Put some flexibility in there. But remember that when you achieve, if you want to achieve what you want to in life, if you want to become a doctor or whatever you want to become, you're going to have to use some self-discipline in order to get there. Okay, so how should you do it? Whatever works best for you. So you can do it on your iPhone calendar, you can do it on a paper calendar, you can use the Google Calendar, you can download, there's a whole bunch of apps for scheduling for college students. Whatever works for you, that's the best way to do it. Okay, so here's a suggested study plan for Module 2. Module 2, you actually get a little bit of extra time because you got a long weekend in there for Labor Day. And so I suggest that on Friday you start off, watch the first lecture for the module, take notes, and then on Saturday go on and do side quest 2.1, which is doing another concept quiz. So make sure you understand the concepts from lecture 2A, and if you didn't understand any, make notes, write down questions, and then reach out to me on the Monday, or go to the tutoring center, or look at some of the additional online resources like Khan Academy or Flipping Physics for extra help. Okay, then on another day of the long weekend, start looking at your homework. The first 8 questions on that homework are multiple choice concept questions, and you should have everything you need to answer that. So that'll get you almost halfway through the homework. And again, if you need help, send me an email. I'm around, I can answer you. All right, on the Tuesday, you should maybe look at your second lecture for that chapter, lecture 2B, which I believe is due on the Wednesday. Take notes, read the sections of the textbook that are relevant, and then apply what you learned in that lecture. So on Wednesday and Thursday, do those 2 side quests that are learning how to set up and solve word problems. And then once you've done that, then you've got everything you need to finish off the homework. So make sure you finish that off. Try some of those additional practice questions. Remember, I told you those practice problems in the practice and review section. If you can do those, and especially if you can do these side quests, then you're in good shape for the exam. Okay, and then Saturday, look at all the materials from the chapter. Include the review version of the lecture if you need to reinforce the concepts. Finish the homework if you haven't, or make notes on what you want to ask me in Monday's office hours. If you have time to do more problems, do them. And then finally, go back to your plan and see how did you do this week, and do you need to make any adjustments. Okay, so let me know how you did. So I want you to upload a screenshot of your weekly time in class spreadsheet. And so when you go to the time management extra points module, what it's going to have in it is this spreadsheet. So for every week, it just asks you to fill in. I've got the whole day divided up into 30-minute intervals. At the end of each week, just write down what you spent time doing. So you go in here and you click and you say, okay, at midnight on Tuesday, I was reading my textbook. On Wednesday, at 9 a.m., I went to the library and I worked on some of the practice problems. Okay, and so just do that. And if I shrink this down a little bit, you can see the whole thing at the side. This thing here adds up what you did and tells you how much time you were spending. And so you can review it, fill it out as the week goes, and you can review it and see whether or not you're meeting your goal of 9 to 12 hours. I also have space on the side for you to put in any important assignments that you want to spend any extra time on. And so all the categories here are reading the textbook, doing homework, watching the lecture and taking notes, reviewing the notes, practice problems, doing some active learning. So the active learning is the side quests, or anything else that you did. So you might have been going and looking at Khan Academy, etc. Okay, so keep track of it. There's a different tab on the spreadsheet for each day of the week, if you look, so each week of the semester. And so I asked you to do this and just upload it every week. The little assignment will come up. You don't have to do it. Again, it doesn't count for grades on the course, but it counts for bonus points that you can spend for homework or lecture assignment extensions. Okay, and I'm not going to grade based on the hours. I want you to be honest with yourself. It's a tool for you to evaluate yourself. All right, so why should you bother doing all this extra work? Well, this graph here should show you why you should bother. The red and green points are what the in-class sections typically get for averages on the final exam. The blue points are when this class was taught without active learning. So in my in-class section, my students every class do either concept quizzes or long answer problems. So they'll do things in class similar to what you're doing in the side quests. And you can see that that has boosted the points, the average points on the tests, by about 10% by doing that in class. But unfortunately, the online sections, the final exam averages have stayed the same or maybe even a little bit lower than just learning in class. And again, that's because you don't have the reinforcement of figuring out in class that you don't understand. You need to spend more time in it, or having me keep telling you that you need to do more problems, So make sure that's a 15 to 20% gap in the grades there. So that's what you need to do, is you need to do lots of extra work so you can get yourself up to the level of the in-class students. Okay, good luck. If you have any questions, make sure you get back to me. And I'm available by email all the time, or I have Zoom office hours on Monday. And there's another couple of days of the week that we may also be able to arrange if you can't make the office hours on Monday.